Welcome to the party. I'm Sam Ekstrom of Locked On Sports Minnesota. It's the revenge game you've all been waiting for. Xavier Woods against his former team.
Hey, this is Arif Hasan of the Wide Left Substack, always reminding the Lukes to wake up.
And I'm Luke Braun of Locked On Vikings. I will never wake up.
Vikings Panthers preview today on the Minnesota Football Party.
Locked On Sports Minnesota podcast. It's endless Minnesota Vikings talk with the diverse voices of your local experts. It's time for the Minnesota Football Party.
Welcome in on a Thursday on the Minnesota Football Party on Locked On Sports Minnesota. Thank you so much for joining us. You just met Arif Hasan of Wide Left. You met Luke Braun of Locked On Vikings, and I'm Sam Ekstrom, part of all the shows here at Locked On Sports Minnesota. And thank you all on the Locked On Vikings audio feed listening to this show. Again, you can find this show on Locked On Vikings, the Luke Braun feed. Thank you, Luke, for letting us take over your little Locked On Vikings village. We appreciate that. Plenty to get to today, guys. The Adam Thielen revenge game and Xavier Woods. We'll get to him, too. He matters. Gripes with Kwesi. I'll give you guys some options. We'll talk about that. Will we see the debuts of Dalton, Risner, and Cam Akers? That's definitely noteworthy as the Vikings try to get their first win. And we'll hear from Ron Johnson later in the show, making his weekly Thursday appearance. Before we get into all of that, a reminder that today's show is presented by Jase Medical. Empower yourself when you purchase a Jase Case, providing you with a personal supply of 5 antibiotics that treat 50 infections. Get yours today at jasemedical.com. That's JASE medical.com. Thanks to our everydayers who watch the show all week long. Subscribe to our YouTube channel on Locked On Sports Minnesota. We really appreciate that. We're also on the SXM app, Amazon Fire, Roku, and soon the News On app via a 24/7 live stream. Arif and Luke, let's talk Adam Thielen. Why not? Let's talk Adam Thielen.
Sure.
He's in Carolina after a decade in Minnesota, and he plays the Vikings on Sunday. I mean, we hit on all the Adam Thielen talking points during the offseason, but let me ask you this, and this is stemming off of a conversation Inman and I had yesterday on the party. Arif, how is life without Adam Thielen? Now that we're 3 games into it, how does it feel? How do you think it's going without a staple in the Vikings offense for a decade?
I mean, when you put it like, when you add that last sentence, I almost feel bad, but it's great. Things are good. Woke up fresh. I'm happy, healthy, in my lane, moisturized. It's fantastic. I mean, like, so Jordan Addison obviously has been very productive, 60-yard game, 60-yard game, 50-yard game. That's not like a bad place to be. Also, from a Vikings perspective, he's a little bit more cost controlled than Thielen was, which, that's its own discussion.
20 million,
thing,
2 million.
Yeah. Cost a first round pick, though.
Well, yeah. Okay.
Different cost.
The excess value, I think, over contract is worth more than I think a first round pick. So I would say so far it's been worth it. If KJ Osborne could hold on to the ball just a little bit better, you could argue that this is a fairly underrated 3-receiver group compared to some of the more, to use a Paul Allen word, ballyhooed receiver groups across the league.
That is a Paul Allen word. Very nice.
Ballyhooed.
Luke Braun, how's life? How's life? Sans Adam Thielen. 3 games in.
Hey, the Vikings are 0-3, but so is Adam Thielen. So I guess it's a wash.
And he's a worse
0-3. He's a worse 0-3. Feels worse.
Take that, Caitlin.
And JT O'Sullivan hates him, which is very funny.
I was going to bring that up. It is extremely funny.
Like, that's the extent of my exposure to Adam Thielen's time in Carolina, is JT O'Sullivan just being like, come on, 19, get your, 19? What are you doing throwing your that, like, when he won't call a player by his name and he's just like, come on, 19,
yeah,
like 85 in Chicago.
Yeah, oh God, he hates 85. But
update me on this. Update me on this JT O'Sullivan thing.
So you know that JT O'Sullivan has been doing YouTube.
I know what he does. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Really fantastic stuff. Massively increased his production this past preseason and regular season. More videos.
I don't know how he's doing that.
It's insane. I have no idea. It's wonderful stuff. I try to catch all of it, but now it's so much content that I can't. But I have been watching the Panthers ones, both in the preseason and the regular season. And, he likes Bryce Young a lot. He breaks down all the rookie quarterbacks. He breaks down Bryce Young. And in the preseason, he's talking about this guy's not getting open. Come on. How can you run a route like this? And he just digs in on Adam Thielen, almost every other play. It's phenomenal. The first time he did it, he only called him 19. And I was like, does he know that that's Adam Thielen? That is a lot to say. And then at the end of that video, Thielen does something right. And he calls him by his name. And I was like, oh my God, J.T. O'Sullivan really is a coach. Holy crap. The guy didn't get a name until the end of the video.
Did he do something right?
Yeah. And so he's really upset that the Chargers are giving Adam Thielen a ton of play, but that's more a product of
Panthers.
Yeah. It's more a product of the Panthers investment, but he's not bursting out of his breaks. He's relying a little bit too much on kind of the exaggerated route running that we're used to seeing from him, but without kind of the explosion that we're used to seeing associated with that. Doesn't really work. He freelances a little bit. JT doesn't love that. And he is very passionate. Passionate. Maybe that's the word we use. And JT doesn't love that. He does not love when receivers persistently complain on the field, visibly on the film, when they don't get a target in times when they're open. I think the thing that really got JT, and this was, I think, in the second regular season game, if I remember correctly, Adam Thielen's open on a dig. Bryce Young throws deep on a guy who's a little bit less open, but honestly, not a bad decision. And it's a miss. And so Thielen just starts clapping. He's like, I'm open, clapping. He does the I'm open thing during the play, and JT hates that. So he tells him to go to the sideline and get Gatorade.
Spent too much time with Diggs over his career.
This is gold. Yeah.
Diggs is the reason he's a diva. That's for sure. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, he was 100% not a diva until Diggs
corrupted. It wouldn't be the only person that Diggs has been a bad influence on in his career. That's the only exposure that I have to Adam Thielen, though. So I don't know. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with what Jordan Addison has done. He hasn't been perfect by any stretch of the imagination. Still getting beat by press coverage, physical coverage, and all that stuff. Got to figure out ways around that. But we kind of knew that, and I thought he was a first-round pick anyways. He was my second favorite receiver in that draft, and I was wrong about the guy that was my favorite. He's not doing as well. So
who's your favorite?
Jordan Addison, Smith and Jigba.
Oh, whatever. That'd be fun.
Adam Thielen seems like he might be wide receiver 1 in that group, but if I'm Carolina and we're 2-12 by week 16, I have a hard time taking snaps away from Chenault and Marshall and
Jonathan
Mingo.
Well, Mingo's earning snaps anyways.
Amir Smith-Marset, promising young receiver there too.
I don't know.
I think as long as you feel like Bryce Young can still you don't want to Justin Fields him,
Yeah, I think that's part of it.
It's about Young at that point.
Thielen is tied with Jamar Chase in terms of receiving yards. It's very weird. Not that Chase is having a remarkable season aside from the last half of the last game.
Yeah, weird stuff going on in.
Yeah, but he's got 200 plus yards. It's not like he's having a bad production season. It's just it's been very difficult to make it work in a way that is just not difficult with a bunch of other high quality receivers. It's not difficult, obviously, to throw to Justin Jefferson, but also Addison has not made it particularly difficult. There's serious deficiencies in his skill set, but there's just ways to use him that make the play easy. And for Thielen, that doesn't exist. Every throw to him is a high precision, very difficult kind of process, which is not great.
Part of why I'm really happy with Addison too is that, right off the bat, he's running routes at the right depth, and I know that that's kind of a low expectation, but I think for a rookie, just being
even Osborne doesn't do that all the time. It's crazy.
Right. I think TJ Hawkinson messed up 2 or 3 of them in that Chargers game. I'm kind of guessing there, but somebody did.
Mm-hmm.
But that for a rookie is something that typically I don't expect right off the bat. Hey, it takes a little bit of time to get yourself super assignment sound. That's totally fine and to be expected. But if you can be assignment sound by week 1, that's awesome.
I'm so encouraged that the early returns are this positive because more often than not, the early stuff means that it's going to stick, right? Like Laquan Treadwell, the early returns were so poor and never got better. Cordero Patterson, he was a super late bloomer to do anything besides special teams or gimmick plays.
His early returns were like clearly not sustainable. They were fun,
right?
But they were clearly
2013
not,
was
indicative.
So fun.
Yeah.
But all the best Vikings receivers of the last 20 years have popped right away, and that's stuck.
Except for Adam Thielen.
Adam Thielen didn't. Yeah, again,
yeah,
Thielen
that's maybe the one exception.
He had the slow burn. He's the exception to the rule. He was very linear in his progress. But I guess I should say, maybe to use a Paul Allen word, the ballyhooed receivers who pop right away typically stick. So as long as health isn't an issue for Addison, which I still worry about, it feels like this is going to stick. Now, if you ever give him 80 snaps in a game, you're not going to be able to run to his side of the field. I mean, he is really bad in run blocking, but I think that's the price you pay for the efficiency and the explosion that he offers you off the line of scrimmage. I love the way he runs routes. He's got some of the best feet that I think I've ever seen. I like Jordan Addison's work so far. We're going to talk about Dalton Risner, Cam Akers, whether they make their debuts on Sunday. Also get into some kwesi stuff. But first, let me tell everybody about Jase Medical. You never know when life is going to throw you a curveball. Let's be honest. There's a lot of unpredictability in this world. There are illnesses, stuff pops up, there's emergencies. Jase Medical makes sure that you are prepared when the unexpected arises. You can consult with the experts at Jase Medical, and you can get a kit, a Jase Case of 5 life-saving antibiotics for emergency use to give you that peace of mind. So when an accident happens, you are prepared. They handle that online evaluation, licensed pharmacy, medication delivery, ongoing consultation and care. Don't get caught unprepared. You get $20 off these life-saving antibiotics today from Jase Medical by using my code LOCKEDON at checkout at jasemedical.com. JASE medical.com. $20 off, code LOCKEDON. Don't get caught unprepared. All right, the two players we talked about all last week, Dalton Risner and Cam Akers. I thought that KOC gave some clues this week with his language. Yesterday, he didn't exactly go to bat for Ed Ingram. He didn't give in any votes of confidence. Didn't say, yeah, I mean, Ed's our guy, but Dalton's going to be ready to go if needed. Didn't say that. He basically nodded his head and said, yeah, we might consider a rotation on the offensive line, which is to say...
I think he was talking about practice.
Well, but somewhat...
Or was he saying, like, in-game, we're going to go drive by drive, guard by guard? Because that's bananas.
There was a positive moment... that's what he alluded to. Because Seifert, I think, asked him that, and he didn't shoot it down and said how hard it is to have competition, like mid-season like this.
Season, yeah.
If only something could have been done about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll get to that.
How did we find ourselves in this situation?
But we needed to keep that roster spot for Garrett Mock. Okay, we can't. All 90 are precious.
They even had an exemption. They had 91. They had Junior Aho.
Alan Ali with the 2s all camp long. And
hey, Alan Ali was like kind of nice with it by the end. He was like not bad.
What? Okay.
Yeah.
We had a moment with Josh Sokol.
Yeah, sure. But I will say there was a moment when the Seahawks experimented with platooning the right tackle where they were like, this guy's really good at run blocking. This guy's really good at pass protecting. What if, on run plays? By the way, this experiment did not work out very well.
Oh my God. Darisaw did it?
Yeah, sure.
For his debut?
Yep.
He rotated?
Yeah, he rotated with Rashad Hill in his first game. And then he got a full start the next game.
Yeah, but it wasn't
so did Jake Long.
It wasn't on run plays versus pass plays.
No, it was drive by drive.
Yeah.
Doing that run plays versus pass plays is
That's
unhinged.
so big brain.
Why would you do
so
that?
Galaxy
That's hilarious. It's like putting
They'll never
Joe Webb
catch
on the field. Speaking of guard play, have you guys seen the Chandler Zavala stats for Carolina?
The 0.0 guard?
Julian Council told them to me on the Locked On Vikings crossover.
Julian Council is a great listen. Locked On Panthers. Yeah. Check that out for some crossover action. But Zavala had 14 pressures allowed last week. If he had only played that one game, he would lead all guards in pressures allowed. Ed Ingram is second in pressures allowed, by the way. That's crazy.
Really the best of the best going on right here.
Yeah.
24
Are you just looking at it now? Yeah. And Luke Inman pointed this out too. They had like 8 false start penalties or 8 penalties just on offense alone in that game. It was bad.
It's so bad. Julian does not think he's going to play.
And
Julian thinks that they're benching him for whoever's behind him.
Fortunately for Carolina, the Vikings have no one on the interior that can generate a pressure.
Jonathan Bullard, this is your moment.
They're totally fine. Have you seen the Vikings pressure numbers?
Real quick, he's had more pressure through 3 games than 26 guards had through 16 games last year. I know it's a 17-game season, but that's the easier cutoff to use.
Yeah, incredible. Incredible. Rookie.
How does this compare? How does this compare to like 2021 Dakota Dozier numbers?
Oh, that's good.
Great question. Or the Drew Samia sample
2020
size.
Samia. Yeah.
Samia just did not.
You work on that. Work on that, and then I'll spout these numbers. I write for Zone Coverage now, by the way, zonecoverage.com, weekly piece. I wrote about the defensive tackle interior rush mediocrity, and Harrison Phillips has 6 pressures. Very good. Fine. Bullard, Lowry, Tunga, Roy, 0 combined pressures.
Oli Udo had 45 pressures in 2021.
Udo, that's what I was thinking of. Yeah.
Yeah. So he in 3 games had half as many pressures as Udo had in 16. So Udo famously was not very good at that particular job.
Yeah.
Not great.
Yeah, 46 for Dozier in 2020 So
he's running halfway there.
Yeah.
He is speed running of a classic Vikings guard season.
This is incredible. He was like a steal for a lot of people. A lot of people had him rated much higher than. Did he go in draft or was he like a 6th-round pick?
4th. Zavala was a 4th
round pick. I remember a bunch of people talking about. But I think he was like a Brandon Thorne guy too. Like it was. That's rough, man.
Oh man, I had him as a 3rd rounder.
Yeah, yep.
So we'll take an L there. Goodness.
Yeah. Well, when has an offensive lineman from NC State not worked out?
Yeah, true.
I'm predicting that Risner plays for the Vikings on Sunday at minimum, rotationally, maybe the whole time. I'm also predicting Cam Akers sees the field. The Kevin O'Connell Monday quote, "If guys can't hang on to the ball, we'll find others who can." Probably the bluntest thing he's ever said.
Yeah, he said that, but also like the guy leading the team in fumbles right now is Kirk Cousins, right? Like that's.
Let's get spicy.
You're not going to find someone else.
Oh, it's Nick Mullins' time.
And I think the point there, like the only person who seems semi-replaceable, who's been fumbling,
yes,
is Madison.
Yeah, right. So it's not like they're going to be like, yeah, Justin Jefferson shouldn't have reached across the line. We're going to be starting.
You're out of here.
It's Brandon Powell's turn.
Yeah, Brandon.
Well, Powell fumbled too, so it's got to be. So it's Naylor. It's Naylor.
Oh, that's right. Because on the
Christian time.
Well, yeah, Naylor's on IR, isn't he?
He is. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it's Christian time. Got to activate him again. Christian Jackson over Justin Jefferson. Let's go. Ball security, baby.
Jefferson gets Wally pipped by Tristan Jackson. Yeah, Do you guys have a read on what the purpose of the Myles Gaskin era was because I guess they just wanted a body in the building for insurance until Kene
I don't think you
being
can
ready.
Having only 2 running backs under contract feels like a problem on your active roster. Like even just for like practices, that feels like untenable. So having him there and then bouncing him from the practice squad to the roster and stuff is pretty common. That's just random roster shenanigans.
Yeah. I just find it intriguing that they felt significantly stronger about the Cam Akers resume than the Myles Gaskin resume for them to surrender even, like a meaningless pick.
Kevin O'Connell knows him. And that's the thing that this Vikings team surely prioritizes is guys that are from teams that they used to coach on that aren't very good.
This is every coaching staff's problem ever, though, right? Like this was Zimmer.
It seems a little bit more pronounced with
Zimmer.
I don't think it is.
There's a lot of Shannon Sullivaning going on here.
Every single
a lot of Nate Hairstons.
The Kubiak connection, like the Jordan Taylor, right? Connection with
but
Kubiak
that's
and countless others.
Jordan Taylor's like one guy, right? Like
no,
Zimmer. It was a little extra with Zimmer. I'll give you that, but it just feels like it's a little bit more with Kevin O'Connell and like your Brandon Powell's and your Troy Readers and your Cam Akerses, and technically guys. Dalton Risner, right? Because the assistant offensive line coach Chris Cooper for the Broncos. So yeah,
I don't know. Zimmer had Taylor Mays and Terrence Newman and
Zimmer also had 8 years. We're on year 2, and I feel like it's about blow for blow.
Also, Taylor Mays was cut before camp. Like that one seems a little unfair.
No, you're totally and good memory, by the way. You're totally right about that. But it's not like O'Connell is cutting a lot of these. Like he cut Bobby Evans too. It's not like they're committing to these people.
Yeah, in camp, you gave Bobby Evans a chance.
Hardly. It didn't last very long. I think Akers plays. I think Risner plays. I think they brought him in to play. And I don't think when you're 0-3, you really have the luxury of just sitting on these new additions. Do you guys agree? Disagree?
Akers
should play for sure. I think if he doesn't,
I wouldn't be shocked at any of the outcomes. I wouldn't be shocked if Risner doesn't play. Akers doesn't play. That wouldn't shock me. It also wouldn't shock me if they both played all the snaps. It just, I just feel like any sequence of events is not just justifiable, but like foreseeable, given kind of how long, teams will hold on to guys that are not playing very well, especially guys like Ed Ingram, right? Because once you bench a guard, it's like very difficult to make the case that this guy is your guard of the future.
Yeah, that's calling it.
Yeah. So that one, I think, yeah.
I was told the Vikings have a top 5 pass protection O-line.
Yeah, well, it's by multiple metrics, by the way, right?
Yeah, everybody agrees. The Vikings are actually killing it in pass pro. So
this is a composite of SIS, PFF, and ESPN. 40-40-20 weights, by the way. And I asked Ben Baldwin, who posted this, I was like, why those weights? Why not like 33-33-33? Or just like, what was the thinking? And he's like, yeah, I just felt right. Which,
he's not like, that's not one of his serious projects. It's just a thing he puts on Twitter. Like, I just kind of threw it together.
All right. But yeah, top, is it 4th in pass protection, 5th in run blocking? And it's just like, okay, it's 3 of them, so it's unlikely that they're all wrong. But man, how bad must Ed Ingram be for like us to notice him on a line that is supposed to be particularly good? And maybe, part of it is just that we're not assigning Kirk Cousins enough blame for holding onto the ball, right?
I would imagine that we like our eye test vibes are assigning less blame to the quarterback than those metrics are. That's, I think, my guess for like the disparity.
The problem is like, as the only quarterback that the Vikings have had since 2014 that did not hold on to the ball too long was Sam Bradford, right? Because it's Kirk Cousins, Case Keenum, and Teddy Bridgewater, and they all held on to the ball agonizingly long, right? And so I just think maybe some of it's just that we're conditioned to think like, yeah, you can have 3 seconds in the pocket. What's wrong with these guys?
What, 4 seconds? I can count to 4 pretty fast. That's
yeah, come on.
1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, 4 Mississippi. Yeah.
Yeah, it's fine.
Fast.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Let me ask you
What's
this.
that edge
Okay.
rusher doing in there?
So top 5, not top 5, however you view it. People gripe about the O-line. They gripe about the pass rush. They gripe about the secondary. Do you believe Kwesi underserved, or which of those 3 positions are you more bothered by the lack of effort to rebuild or incorrectly rebuild in some cases?
Offensive line.
O-line, D-line, secondary.
Offensive
It's
line.
a pass rush for me.
I understand like the pass rush, it is the critical component right now of that defense. Like, and the secondary obviously could be better, but like the whole point of the defense is that quarterbacks can't get to their deep reads because they're going to be on the ground, right? And if they're not on the ground, you're losing. And so they haven't. So I get it. But to me, the offensive line stuff was the easiest to predict, would not work out. And so it was easier for them to anticipate those problems and make investments that they did not make, right? It was easy to see that, whatever was going to happen at center was not going to be great. And to Austin Schlottman's credit, he is playing way better than I would have ever anticipated. In fact, why bring Garrett Bradbury back? This dude seems to be
We're back,
better,
baby.
Right? It's, hey, when Joe Berger was outplaying John Sullivan, who, by the way, has a much stronger record of play than Garrett Bradbury ever had, you just had to be like, yeah, I guess Berger probably should start, huh? But Ed Ingram was so easy to predict that wouldn't work out that they didn't even bring in competition. I'm not saying that for a second-year guard, they 100% had to replace him, but they didn't even bring anybody who had the shadow of a chance of competing. With the defensive line, at least you were like, hey, maybe Dean Lowry has it. Hey, Marcus Davenport can play inside. Hey, Jonathan Bullard is actually not bad. Like there's like elements that like Kwesi-adofo-mensah, like there was a competition along the defensive line where somebody could start alongside Harrison Phillips, and there was some chance that would work out. Whereas no competition for Ed Ingram was shocking to me.
Yeah, they doubled down on a line that was not good last year. They doubled down and said, we're going to bring them all back. And our only belief is that they will get better by time on task together. Yeah. That was sort of the line going into the season.
A thing that Vikings fans most certainly will be in favor of. It's pass rush for me in particular. Yeah. I definitely get like the O-line. Bringing back all 5 on the O-line was like, wait, you did? Okay, well, all right. And not only all 5, like all 10, like the depth too. Risner's the only addition that was like serious, and he was made in the middle of the season and didn't have to be made in the middle of the season, especially if you are going to have him compete with Ingram and or Cleveland or whatever. You could have been doing that in camp. So waiting this long, maybe it saved them a little bit of money or something like that. I don't know what, but you got to ask, was that worth it? And since I don't know how much they saved, I can't really answer it, but you have to ask, was it worth it to kind of be in this weird on the fly situation when you could have just had like a normal camp competition? And it's not like you learned anything you didn't already know. Right. So I think that criticism was one when Risner first joined. It was one where I was like, well, I don't know if he's just here to like replace injured players. Maybe they're just not that high on him and it's not that thing. But if he's here to replace healthy, entrenched starters, we should have been doing that in
April, like, let's go back a little bit. What's going on?
Let's get Ron Johnson's take on this question as well. He's waiting in the wings. We're going to get him on the show, and then we're going to do our weekly parlays. Reminder to find our content on the SXM app, the SiriusXM app. Search Locked On Sports Minnesota. Also find the hometown broadcasts of your favorite local teams. Today, the Twins have their home finale in the regular season, a matinee against the Athletics. Search Twins to listen to that game. First pitch at 12:10. Ron Johnson joining us now on the program. He's the host of the Ron Johnson Show. He's on X at 3 Ron Johnson. And Ron, we'll let you weigh in on this debate we're having. There's 3 key positions that Vikings fans like to talk about, to harp about the most: offensive line, pass rush, and the secondary. Where do you think the Vikings fell short most in constructing those various position groups, O-line, D-line, or secondary this offseason?
Sorry, I was on mute.
You're good.
I truly believe as of now, I would go D-line, O-line, then DBs. I just feel like with the D-line, it's the lack of depth. The fact that you entered the season with more safeties, not DBs, safeties, than you did defensive linemen. I just didn't. And then the fact that you're going to 3-4, but you cannot stop the run with the guys you have. I feel like there was a lack of urgency with maybe looking at who's a true outside linebacker. Can I kick Daniil down to be a 5 technique? The answer is yes. He doesn't have to be an outside linebacker. He could have been a D lineman, just smaller, but he's just as strong. I feel like he can hold up against the run. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm just a Daniil Hunter supporter and fan, and I think he can do everything. But I feel like he could have kicked down, put his hand in the ground, been like a wide 5, kind of, shading the tackle, splitting the guard and tackle, and he could have probably held up just fine. And then you put like a Harrison Phillips and whoever else, Bullard or whoever else on the other side of him. I think you could have got it done, and then you could have went out and got a true outside linebacker. I know Marcus Davenport was the thought, but he hasn't been healthy. So maybe I'm misjudging what this defense could be if he was actually healthy. From an offensive lineman standpoint, that's next. I just say those interior 3. Like, I think Ezra Cleveland's fine. Bradbury, I think, was fine, but you kind of knew the injury bug could be there. So to have a John Michael Schmidt sitting out there, when you look at Pat Elflein, you drafted him as a center, you moved him to guard. Why not just move Bradbury to guard? Maybe that would have been a better spot for him in right guard. John Michael Schmidt could have been your starting center. He's doing decent for the Giants. Even though Daniel Jones is a problematic problem. But then DBs, you brought in Byron Murphy, Caleb Evans, we knew was pretty good. And then you went out and drafted guys. So I think they kind of handled the defensive back questions.
Yeah, and there's a trickle down effect too, right? So if you take John Michael Schmitz, you solidify the center spot, but you don't get Jordan Addison, and that leads us to the wide receiver conversation.
True.
No, you just draft Tank Dell. You're fine.
There you go. A lot of good wide receivers. I asked this question early in the show, Ron, but how do you think life has been for the Vikings without Adam Thielen for the first 3 games?
From a leader standpoint, we know he was a great leader in the locker room. He was a great team first guy. He was a great community guy. I'm not too sure they're missing. The thing they're missing, this is what I'll say about Adam Thielen. He made the catches that we thought he couldn't make because of when you look at him. When you look at Adam Thielen, you don't see ridiculously great athlete. But he ran a 4.40. People wouldn't have thought that. He was really strong and quick and twitchy. People wouldn't put him on that. He was really good here. And so I think Adam Thielen, like, his deep over routes, and he'd be covered, and all of a sudden he makes the catch and gets up and does some weird celebration dance, and then you see him in the red zone and he's just wide open somehow, some way. You see him on a deep ball, on a comeback, like a deep comeback, guys all over his back. Somehow Adam Thielen makes just a two-handed strong grab and the crowd goes wild. They're missing that. They're missing like a Chris Carter move the chains guy. I'm not saying Adam Thielen was Chris Carter, but he gave Minnesota that hope of a toe tap on the sideline, come back for a first down. A guy that had a knack for getting open. When you watch him with the Panthers, he's really good at backyard football. When Bryce Young is running for his life, Adam Thielen finds a way. When Andy Dalton is pushing his walker and he's going for his life and trying to get free, Adam Thielen finds a way to get open. And so I think that's with this team a little bit you're missing. You're missing that backyard football guy that just had a knack to get open and get the ball.
You mentioned Andy Dalton for a second, and I think it's basically 100% that he's going to be playing instead of Bryce Young. But I did want to talk about Bryce Young a little bit, just because he's had such an interesting year. Because when you like throw it on, like if you just like watch just Bryce Young and no one else, it seems like he's playing very well. Obviously, the Panthers are not. Are we concerned that this could be kind of a maybe Justin Fields situation is the wrong way to put it, because Justin Fields is also not very good, but it seems like he's going to be as unsupported in Carolina as Justin Fields is in Chicago. Do you think that like will end up being the case, or are they going to be able to like figure it out and surround him with people?
I hope they can figure it out and surround him with people, but this is the thing about Frank Wright. I don't think he truly knew what he was doing when he drafted Bryce Young. The only reason is you look at the coach where Frank Reich came from and their history of quarterbacks. They've never had a little tiny quarterback in Indianapolis. So I don't know why you draft a guy that doesn't fit any type of offense you've been a part of or you try to put together. You needed an Anthony Richardson. You needed a CJ Stroud. And if you weren't going to get either of those guys or even try to, like, there had to be some other guys. I mean, honestly, that's why I think Andy Dalton fits his offense, because he is a bigger pocket passing type of quarterback that can read the defense. Bryce Young, people don't understand how much Sarkisian's offense at times helped Bryce Young with the motions, the shifts, the pre-snap reads, all the stuff he was helping with at Alabama. And that's why when we look at Alabama now, we're not even talking about Alabama. We're talking about Colorado, Oregon, Georgia, Michigan. We're not talking about Alabama.
Michigan's playing real well. Also, really, I was wrong.
And they'll be here next weekend, 6:30 p.m. There'll be a postcast late night with drinks. Join the happy hour.
It's exciting. I was wrong. Also, I guess Frank Reich said Bryce Young is on track to start, which shocks me.
He's a full participant.
Yeah,
he's a full participant.
He just went up in front of the media too and said, "Yeah, last week was a different perspective. Ready to get back out there."
Yeah, and honestly, I would rather have Bryce Young than I would.
I think that's a good feeling of a lot of Vikings people.
And this is the reason. When you think about Brian Flores' blitz packages, I got a chance finally. I met Brian Flores yesterday. I was in the Vikings facility shooting winning formula in the lottery pick. If you guys go to Vikings.com or on X, you'll see it. My lottery pick was Alexander Madison. And I'm getting chastised on the internet right now because people think that was the dumbest lottery pick ever. I just feel like the Panthers defense, with the lack of linebacker depth, health, and some of their D linemen being injured. I feel like this might be, and we know last week he's the first 5 plays or runs. I feel like Kevin O'Connell is trying to like make a statement and get the run going. So that's the only reason I pick Alexander Madison. So people leave me alone on Twitter. It's not my fault that I had to pick somebody and I picked Alexander Madison.
It's not my fault I had to pick somebody.
Everybody's chastising me on Vikings Twitter like, that's not it. This is not it. That's not the pick.
Xavier Woods is hurt. Frankie Luvu is hurt. Shaq Thompson's IR. I know
where might be the Alexander Madison game for 105 yards. 105 yards is a lottery pick game for him. But back to meeting Brian Flores. He and I got a chance to chat quick. And before I had to go on air, but we talked about Tom Moore. We talked about the Buccaneers. He talked about his stay with the Patriots. He talked about his time with Mike Tomlin. And in that short time, I got a lot of thought processes through him. Some I can't share. The ones I will share, his defense, it's truly predicated on guys doing the right thing. And when I say that, I mean, you can't always think because he's blitzing and the guys don't get home, it's his fault. It's not his fault. If you rewatch, maybe 2 guys ran into each other. Maybe a guy just runs right into a blocker versus just trying to swim him and take an edge. So if he can create that kind of chaos and confusion for Bryce Young, I think Bryce Young is going to this might be a game where Harrison Smith or Cam Bynum finally gets a pick or two because he can't see. So if he is under pressure and he's like, okay, I think I have a guy running a dig route, I'm going to just throw the dig. Harrison Smith or Cam Bynum should be there because he can't, he won't be able to see. Now, the other negative, and we saw this happen, what was it? I think it wasn't Baker Mayfield. Who beat Danielle Hunter on that, got outside of Danielle Hunter when he could have had a sack?
What, Jalen?
Baker, wasn't it?
Was it Baker?
In week 1?
It was Baker. Baker. So when you think about that, and Baker's not a runner. Bryce Young is a runner. So if Danielle Hunter does do that and doesn't, set the edge, it was Baker because then Baker ran into I forgot who and said, "Get your weight up, son. Get your weight up." Get the weight.
Can you imagine Bryce Young saying that? Can you imagine Bryce Young
say, "Get your weight up"?
Yeah. Also, this should be noted. So Hurts is Hurts and Herbert are both crazy strong, right? The Vikings at times would get an arm or a hand on them during the pass rush. Obviously, wouldn't turn into anything. But if you do that to Bryce Young, he's spinning like a top. I just feel like
and that's the key. If you can get back there and just get to him, hopefully he doesn't know enough of this offense to screw it up. The other good thing is Adam Thielen has no idea about Brian Flores' defense, so there's no intel he can give his offense. But Adam Thielen can help the defense for the Panthers and what they can do to confuse Kirk Cousins, because he knows everything about what frustrates Kirk. He knows everything about what Kevin O'Connell possibly does. And so I'm looking forward to this week to seeing, is there going to be some wrinkles within his offense pre-snap? that to try to make it like, here's something you've never seen before, Adam. So good luck trying to tell them about us. But yeah, that's my thought on the whole Andy Dalton versus Bryce Young. I don't want to see him get outside the pocket, because this is where this defense gets hurt, because they put so much energy into the rush. They don't have enough guys back there to cover long enough.
Ron, so I was doing Locked On crossover with Locked On Panthers, and I asked Julian Council over there, so what do you do about JJ? What's the plan? And he could not conjure an answer. Mm-hmm. He had no idea. There's just nobody there that feels like even remotely you could trust. I don't know, do we double him? Do we triple him? Do you have any sense for what we might see from the Panthers as they try to approach Justin?
Yeah, it's like if I were to ask you, Luke, like if you were to go into a ring right now with Mike Tyson at the age of 50, whatever he is, what would be your plan versus Mike Tyson?
Yeah, sometimes the answer is die. Yeah. Sometimes you just show up and go, I'm dead now. Okay.
Well, the answer I hoped you would say is you just run around the ring until the bell dings and then make it to the next round.
Hide.
He's a lot more fatalistic than that.
I'm a realist.
So that's what I feel like. I feel like
getting away
Panthers,
from him.
Well, Mike Tyson isn't.
By the way, happy birthday, Arif. Is it belated birthday? Okay, yeah. Because Luke hoped this was your last one, or you maybe hope this was your last one. I wasn't sure.
Yeah, we're in alignment on that.
Yeah, no, that's true.
But the Panthers defense, I mean, it's a little bit like that. Like when you walk to the ring versus Mike Tyson, you got to figure out how to stay alive. And I think I like that analogy, Luke. So I think that's what the Panthers defense wants to do. How do we stay alive versus Justin Jefferson? Well, we got to keep him in front of us. We have to keep them to the right of us, to the left of us. So, I mean, you're going to see some triple coverage every once in a while. You'll see a press on the first guy with a guy over the top helping. You'll see a press with a linebacker underneath as well helping. If they go man, I don't think they will a lot, but you have to in this day and age. It's going to happen. If they happen to go man and Kirk Cousins doesn't take advantage of it, this will be the game, if they happen to lose, that people can blame Kirk Cousins for not recognizing that. And honestly, if that happens where Justin Jefferson does get man-to-man, even if the guy's like a step behind him and you see JJ do the like, I can't believe you didn't throw me the ball, it's going to get real tense around there, because 0-4 and a not happy receiver who you want to extend, does he just then go in the next season under a $19 million contract knowing like I'm going to be a true free agent? $19 million is a lot of money to go for one more year, knowing any other team out there has a lottery ticket for him if he's not truly happy with what the Vikings are doing now and what their plans are for the future. So that's kind of the part of it, because I think JJ is more of a winner than he is just a money grabber. You know, I feel like he truly wants to win, and he wants to get to somewhere where if he does get the 160, 180 million, but are we going to be winners? Because coming from LSU, he's always been a winner. And now this is the first time in a while where JJ has to sit back and say, we're really losers right now.
We're losing.
We are losers. So how do we, because my wife always tells my 8-year-old that, like, you can't call people losers. And when she was younger, she'd be like, but they lose though. Like they lose. So they're losers.
Not since 2020.
That's a really tough logic trap to like get out of.
Yeah. For like a 5 and 6-year-old, we were trying to explain to our 6-year-old that she was 6 at the time. We're like, you can't call those girls losers. And she's like, but we won.
They lost.
They're losers. They lose. They're losers. We're like, no, but they're not losers. They just happen to lose this game. And so, you know, and that's where you look at like the Jets locker room and Robert Saleh. Everybody's saying he's a Zach Wilson apologist and he might lose the locker room. That's the fear of this whole like JJ. Who else signed a 1 year deal? Danielle Hunter. Mm-hmm. Like, if this losing continues, can Kevin O'Connell keep these guys on the same page and be in his corner? Now, the good thing for him is none of these guys are true, like, get on Twitter and tweet about their pain, but you'll start to feel it. Like, you'll start to feel the tenseness around the thing. The one good thing, though, I'll say is everybody's excited for Taylor Swift coming for the Chiefs game. Like, it's almost inevitable she's going to come because she's supporting them in New York. I mean, why not come to the Ball America? And so
she played US Bank Stadium before.
I think so for the concert.
She did play US Bank. Yeah, Caller went. Yeah.
Did she play the US Bank Stadium? Come on.
I don't know if
it's a huge deal.
My understanding is that her concert schedule won't allow her to attend the Vikings Chiefs game. I think I did not look up. Let me be.
I thought she was done with shows. No,
I don't know. It's
still on tour. Okay.
Look, I'm not the fact checker on this one.
Somebody go to whatever stadium she's going to perform at for that Sunday. Give the whole stadium COVID, so she has to come to Minnesota. Cancel the concert.
It takes
We
one.
will give her the halftime show. She can have halftime.
I mean, she's already been promised the
cancel the mascot
for
game.
K-Fan suite.
Can you imagine trying to give her a 12-minute halftime
Kwesi
show?
suite has been offered to her. I already said she can come on Vikings Game Day Live as a host. We can get rid of Rosie or Dawn Mitchell, and Taylor Swift can be the fourth person on our panel for that pregame show. So we're trying to give her whatever she wants to. I told her she can be on Vikings Fan Line. She can come on the Vikings Postcast. Like whatever we got to do.
It sounds
to
like
get
the
Taylor
NFL
Swift.
is 100% in agreement with you. They're bending over backwards to make sure that people
Travis
are
Kelce
aware.
has a top 5
Like,
jersey
is it
right
too
now.
late to go back on Usher? That's my question.
Yeah, if they
right,
hadn't already
I
announced
was just
Usher, I would think this was like all a big PR plan to announce Swift.
I've never once had to consider whether or not there was a conflict of interest with the halftime show, because if the Chiefs play and she's performing at halftime, man, I'm just concerned. I'm just concerned about conflicts of interest.
The whole stadium will be Chiefs and Swifties. Like that.
Right.
It's all Swifties.
Well, that's the thing is when they break up,
It will be a Taylor Swift
will they last
concert
that long?
with like
Will
a
it be a bunch of
football
Swifties
game
rooting against the Chiefs
in the Swifties way?
Hey, let's not envision the worst case scenario all the time, Luke. Come on.
I promise
No,
you, if they
Luke's
announce her as halftime, those tickets will go to Swifties.
Kelsey is 100% going to have an album of songs about him, and they're not going to be good.
Oh, Brittany Mahomes will have one too. Have you guys seen the meme of Brittany Mahomes and Taylor Swift?
Oh no,
it's Nancy Kerrigan and Tanya Harding, and somebody said that Brittany Mahomes was Tanya Harding.
That's crazy.
And she was gonna take Taylor Swift out because she's getting all the
much
pub
happening. My God.
That was a new one this morning. I saw. I spit my coffee out. It was so funny.
That is so much.
And it's funny too because the young people don't know what it means. Like you can see some of the people like,
that's
what
right.
is this?
Yeah.
Are they ice skating? It's like, no,
Luke,
you got to know
what,
the
do you know what that's a reference to, Luke?
Luke doesn't. And it doesn't lead you. It doesn't show anything but them on the ice for the Olympic trials. Like it doesn't show.
Right. So it requires the.
Yeah, you got to know the whole story. So it's hilarious if you know the story.
I will say there is a fairly strong history of Taylor Swift fans purchasing tickets worth thousands of dollars.
Oh yeah.
So entirely possible that if there's even a rumor that she's a surprise guest on the Usher halftime show, that it's just going to be tons of Swifties.
And that rumor will happen.
Yes,
it's happening. It's gonna happen.
And some of them will wonder, hey, where's Travis Kelce? Because the Chiefs didn't make it this year.
So we'll say he's tall, she's tall. If they have a baby, it might be the next great basketball.
Yeah, she's like 5'11".
On Deion's team.
Yeah. Deion's team. There you go.
Yeah.
So just help me with the timeline here on Swift Kelce, because we're talking about this now. This
Might
is the
as
rest of
well.
the interview.
Yeah.
So Travis goes on the podcast and says he wanted to give her his number.
Yeah, at a concert. Yeah, on a friendship bracelet. Yeah.
And then from there, word got to Taylor and they got connected and
she knew right away. She just told him she doesn't like taking gifts like that at the concert or something because she didn't know who he was really.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and she doesn't do any after show things. So there wasn't like even an opportunity for him to do like a VIP backstage pass to talk, or she just leaves, right?
And so then she talked to her people, talked to his people, and then they secretly start texting, and then boom.
And he invites her to the game. I didn't know about the texting.
And I think the common thread is Andy Reid, because when he was in Philadelphia, he was good friends with like that whole family. Like
that makes sense.
Whole family.
Yeah, because she's an
Eagles
fan.
family.
They're huge Eagles. Yeah.
And then so now he's in camp.
Like
that might be the common thread.
And the Eagles,
for all you Swifties that need Swiftie drama and storylines, make sure you talk to Luke Braun. He knows them all.
Yeah,
man.
He won't tell you what the Nancy Kerrigan
she knows all of it.
If she was dating Jason, and I think Jason's married, so that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
But if she was dating Jason, would she wear a Jason Kelce jersey or a DeAndre Swift jersey to the game?
Oh, that's funny. I like that.
She wear a Jason Kelce jersey with Swift on the back.
So like the number on the front?
Number 62
on the front.
62 is
that would be such a power move.
That's incredible.
Oh man, this is way better than football. Ron
Swift Kelce, that would be her married name.
We're gonna get people in the comments who are just mad that we talked about this at all.
And that's
I did a radio hit this morning, and I got a Taylor Swift question. That's how out of control this is.
It is.
And we're just gonna lean into it.
I mean, it turns out she's a bigger star than Travis Kelce, so it makes sense.
Obviously.
She put Travis Kelce on the map.
Yeah, that's evidently that's like the new TikTok prank where a bunch of Swifties will tell their boyfriends that like she put Travis Kelce on the map.
They never knew who Travis Kelce was. The world didn't know Travis Kelce until Taylor Swift came along.
That's so good. That's so good. I love it.
I mean, from a national, international, like.
Oh yeah,
yeah, sure.
Like I could see that. Like people in China had no idea who Travis Kelce was, and now people in China are looking at their social media like Taylor Swift is down Travis Kelce. Like
calculating how many All Pros he has. Versus
right, he could fly to China right now and get mobbed. He never could do that before because he's Taylor Swift's boyfriend.
More Taylor Swift talk on tomorrow's roundtable. I'm sure that'll be Ron Johnson, Julia Daniels. Myself, can't wait for that. Ron will run the show. Ron Johnson show on Tuesdays. We'll look forward to that as well. At 3 Ron Johnson. Thanks for joining us, Ron. We love where these conversations go.
Oh man, thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, good stuff.
It's so funny to me that Luke doesn't know the Nancy Kerrigan, Tanya Harding deal.
I definitely knew it at some point in my life. I've just forgotten.
That's probably a good thing, but it leaves you kind of behind on these very now obscure cultural references.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
You haven't seen the I, Tonya movie with Margot Robbie?
No, I have not.
Oh, I would recommend watching that. And it might be really entertaining for you not knowing how it ends.
Oh, yeah. I shouldn't look at anything.
Yeah, just go watch the film.
Just watch the movie, yeah.
All right. We've reached the parlay portion of the program. And Luke Inman did not send his picks in, so we get to pick for Luke Inman again. Arif Hasan, take a victory lap.
Look at that.
You hit a big one.
That's right.
On Monday night. Yeah, I did. Eagles minus 4.5. Hertz TD cashes 300 mythical bucks at plus 190. Arif is our new leader in our parlay contest. He's got $1,270 in his bankroll. Luke Braun has $1,185. I have yet to win. I'm at 800. Luke Inman is at 780. Luke Braun, you begin, then me, then Inman, then Arif. Minimum $40, maximum $40 on a FanDuel parlay.
Maximum $400.
That's probably what I meant to say. Yep. Luke Braun, hit me.
Let's look at some bets that I definitely have looked at. Okay, the only one I'm looking at here, I'm just looking at the Thursday night game first. I don't really believe in the Lions defense. I'll take Jordan Love over 1.5 touchdowns.
Brian Brave just for real. I don't know, man.
Oh, wait. Good point. Can I do interceptions?
No, you've already put it in.
All right.
Binding contract. So that's your prop. For my prop, I'm going to go 49ers to score first and win at minus 180. 49ers to score first and win against the Cardinals. 49ers have scored on every opening drive so far this season. And the Cardinals...
That's 3. What kind of trend is this?
3 is a trend. 3 is a trend.
All
It's
right.
not a mirage. So that's my first one.
All right. There's a couple that I really like, but I'm going to play it relatively safe. Of course, all of these lines are meant to be 50-50. So, but still, I believe in the power of T Swift. I believe.
Oh, hold on. Sorry. This is Inman's bet. We got to make Inman's bet.
Oh, okay,
give him the Jaguars and move on.
Okay. Jags.
Jags minus 3, minus 110.
That was going to be mine if I didn't take the one I'm about to take. So it all works out. The Jaguars one might be a good one, actually. I like that one. But I believe in the power of Taylor. I believe also in the lack of power from Zach Wilson. I do not believe Trevor Siemian will save the day from the practice squad. So I'm going to take Kansas City Chiefs minus 9.5.
That's it? It's just 9.5? Dang.
Yeah.
There it is.
Now, yeah, and then I have to grab a parlay, right?
Yeah.
Oh my God, they've got a Chiefs Jets specials prop stars. They got like a bunch of Travis Kelce props, and they've named them funny things after like Taylor Swift songs.
Way to go! Gotta go with that.
I feel So seeing red is Chiefs to win by 22 plus. I love that. I don't think I can parlay that one though. Opening act, Travis Kelce first touchdown scorer. Plot twist, Zach Wilson to have 300 plus passing yards. Seemingly ranch, which is an incredible meme. Travis Kelce last touchdown scorer. Sam, do you know about seemingly ranch?
Are these T Swift references or not?
It's a reference. It's not a song. So I guess, what was it, 2 nights ago?
It's such a good community.
So like a Taylor Swift update account was like, Taylor Swift, and it's all like very positive, bubbly exclamation points. Taylor Swift seen eating chicken with ketchup and seemingly ranch. And it's the whole thing. And it's just a picture of her just like eating chicken with like 2 sauces on the plate. Someone pointed out, actually, this is pretty good journalism because you have not confirmed whether or not it's ranch. So that's,
humble journalism. Know what you don't know.
And then there's running away together. Chiefs to have 150 plus total rushing yards, which that one is plus 420, which also feels. But this one's tough. God, I feel like I got to prop star it, but I don't think I can. They're not allowing me to parlay it. I mean, unless we want to manually calculate it, but it's also
a special.
Yeah, and it's a special together. Otherwise, the props that we typically get are just anytime touchdown. Which, in the spirit of things, I'm going to take Travis Kelce minus 150. So
Kelce TD minus 150. So for the second week in a row, you were going to try to hit a same game parlay.
Game.
All right.
Which the wager is, I got to tell you the wager and the odds now, right?
Yeah, correct.
Correct. I'm going to go back to the minimums now that I'm above 1,000. I'm going to go back to the minimums, $40 at plus 178.
Very good. What do you think Lukin would do right now?
He tends to split between the minimum and the maximum, but in terms of what he'd pick, I just feel like.
What's a pro Vikings prop? He bleeds.
Oh, yeah, no, he bleeds. It's true. I was going to pick like a Jahmyr Gibbs pick for him. That one makes sense, actually.
I feel like he would be like, this is the time they finally get off the 1-score game and they win by 14 plus. Like, I feel like he would just go full optimism and slam it.
I'm trying to find winning margin. Arif, do you have it? Oh, I got it. Winning margin. Vikings 7-12. Vikings 13-18. Vikings 19-24. What do you think?
Was the one before? Was it something to 19 or something to 17?
13-18.
13-18.
That's it. Yeah, pick that one.
All right. I like the Titans as home dogs. I think the Bengals are just off right now. Titans are getting 2.5 points. I'm going to go with Tennessee plus 2.5. I'm going to put 100 at 192 odds. Parlay.
After watching Monday Night Football, I think the Eagles have reached their true powerful form. So I'm going to take a minus 8.5. That is going to put a parlay at plus 323, but I didn't work very hard on it, so I'll go with a responsible $50.
Very responsible. All right, those are locked in. I'll send those out. Thank you for your contributions today, guys. We will have the postcast after the game on Sunday. Luke Inman, Luke Braun, Ron Johnson, myself, and then we'll be back to break down everything on Monday's edition of the Minnesota Football Party. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe on YouTube, and we're also free and available wherever you get your podcasts. Thanks, Arif. Thanks, Luke. I'm Sam Ekstrom, saying so long on Locked On Sports Minnesota.